drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer,
Good evening once again, and welcome to Doctor on Call. And let me welcome the viewers of GBN Television Channel 7 and 11, and of course our loyal K105 listeners. It's a pleasure as always. It's Tuesday evening, and this evening we have with us again as always, yeah, I think I need to correct that, as always, Dr. Sonia Nixon. Yes, indeed. Last week we started our discussion on dementia. What is dementia, what to look for, and this evening we want to focus quite a bit on how do we care for patients experiencing that condition. So let me welcome Dr. Nixon with us. Doc, good evening and welcome again.
Good evening to Grenada. Good evening, Godfrey. It's a pleasure being at home.
Yes. Well, not for long, because today it was announced that the curfew has been lifted.
Much to my dismay, because I was enjoying the quietness of curfew. I really was.
Yeah, it was good, it was good. But I guess there are many among us who prefer to be here, there, and everywhere. Yes, indeed. But we went through some, difficult periods, and I think many will welcome that bit of easing, so that they can get around and do some of the things that they enjoy doing. But of course, not forgetting the importance of remembering that, look, this thing can happen. We can't take anything for granted.
Yes, and that this is not December 2019, and that there are a lot of other demands that are placed upon us currently.
Yes, indeed.
You have to have behavior changes. So even if the curfew is lifted, you still need to wear a mask always nighttime.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. To maintain physical distancing. You still need to wash your hands. You still need to do all other things. The same barriers that exist in the day exist in the night.
Yes.
You still need to, it's very small groups. So there's no time to have jab party and all the rest. I know nobody knows jab more than me, okay? But it is what it is. You just have to make this sacrifice so it can be better next time.
Oh, definitely so. And it's for our own safety, so if we love to live like I do, we're going to do what is required of us. So Doc, last week we started with dementia. Before we get into our real discussion as it relates to caring for patients, we could probably just go back a little bit, recap what dementia is and what how you identify the signs of someone who's probably beginning to get into that position.
And I'm glad you said beginning, because dementia doesn't happen overnight.
Uh-huh.
Dementia has to do with change in how your brain works, how your brain cells work. Something that happens, it takes a long time to develop. It's a slowly developing disease, and it happens over time. It's more prevalent. More people have it as we get older. So it can start early. Depending on what the cause, and we can peep at that again. You can have dementia as a child, but it is more the dementia we're talking about that's related like Alzheimer's, which is the most common form of dementia. Right? Related to memory loss and other cognitive, like decision making and your thought processes, how you reason, how you make decisions for yourselves and all of that, right? And for others, how you're able to care for yourself, doing your usual functions. It's just the thing that come as second nature. being able to do that, how you manage your speech, your mood might come in as part of it. No. So when you're 60 years old, probably 5 out of 100 of us may have dementia, 5 to 10. As you get older, 70s, it goes up to like in the 20%. And then when you're 80, it's probably like 50%, 40 to 50%. If you're over 100 years old, probably 50%, 60% of the population may have dementia.
Uh-huh.
So it means what we're seeing is that as people get older and the brain stops functioning or doesn't function as well as it is, as it should, to maintain that independence, to give them the ability to do the activities of daily life, the ADLs. When you get up in the morning and you comb your hair, you brush your teeth, you put on clean clothes after you shower, you make your breakfast, you make up your bed, you sweep the yard, you read your Bible, you call your grandchildren. The things that people do every day, especially the things they do for their own existence, for their own safety. Staying home, keeping the door locked, not leaving the stove on, knowing when to go to the bathroom to do your ablutions, all of those things. As you go older, you lose the capacity to function with routines. Mm-hmm. And that is what we look at as dementia. And there are different forms. Alzheimer's is the most common form, and it has to do with plaques being in, they find that we have plaques on the brain, and the brain cells are not able to communicate as well as they should. Mm-hmm, okay? Mm-hmm. And so people start being different. What the most significant thing in dementia is loss of memory. Right. Mm-hmm. Alzheimer's, loss of memory. And loss especially of recent memory. So I can tell you what happened when I was going to school and I'm 6 years old, and the old lady I see by the road, and blah, 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 what she tell me, what I didn't say. But I don't remember who just came through the door and who said good morning and who gave me my breakfast. I don't even remember having had breakfast. I don't remember having had a shower. I don't even remember that I'm actually sitting in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Okay? So loss of present memory, short-term memory. Long-term memory tends to be preserved. Loss of habits. And one of the things we speak about in dementia is keeping people doing their routines as far as possible, so they maintain their independence as long as we can. Uh-huh. Okay? We look at causes like you can have infections, you can have trauma, you can have vascular problems, strokes, people with sickle cell who get recurrent infarcts in their brain, people with diabetes and hypertension, especially hypertension, because our diabetics, our hypertensives may not have diabetes, but our diabetics almost invariably have hypertension. Mm-hmm. It means that there are a lot of people walking with elevated blood pressure, and we know that hypertension is one of the diseases that tend to negatively impact our brain's capacity or make us have more dementia, right? Contribute a little more to dementia. We know that currently, there's some medication, but there's no real treatment that we know. We know that also that, we try and eat as well as possible, like encourage exercise and good diet and good relationships and keeping your brain alert, playing games, staying active, all of those things, mentally and physically active, may delay. We also know that in the case of Alzheimer's, it tends to be genetically linked. So if you have had parents or siblings, there's always a possibility of you developing Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. We also know that our population is aging. So yes. You and I, old people sitting in some corner wondering, who are you again? I'm going to remember you not, okay? But and I might be having a conversation with you or you with me, and I will wonder, who is this? Why are you talking to? And I think it's kind of significant because now in this time of COVID, where we've had to isolate a lot of our older people because, we don't want them to get COVID-19, and they've been isolated from their families, there may be that absence of stimulation might advance their dementia a little more. So those are some of the things we have to take into consideration when we're caring for our people with dementia. The other thing is that, guess what? We're in hurricane season, and we're always prone to things like earthquake and volcanoes and those kind of stuff, right? floods if it rains, those of us who live in flood-prone areas, landslides, those of us who live in those areas. If we have a lot of rain, well, the rainy season hasn't really been big yet, but if you have a lot of rain, we may have challenges. We may have to move our elderly. Where do we move them? Do we move them into facilities that are comfortable, convenient, conducive to their mental health needs? Okay, since at home they may have a commode. If you bring them to a shelter, first of all, you don't want to take them to the shelter because too many people there. But let's say they go over to John Doe's house, they live in their own house, they take them over to their children's house. It's a strange environment. Or no, a lot of them are isolated. They're just isolated. So there are a lot of challenges that our seniors have and our seniors will have. And as our population gets older, we are going to have to plan to have facilities and to have people, caregivers, who are present. Help to
I like that note there in the end as it relates to having caregivers, because as you mentioned earlier, we have an aging population, which means that the risk of dementia is a little higher than normal because age is a key factor there.
Right?
Yes.
We live longer.
Yes.
Some of us will have it.
Yes, indeed. We have a lot of hypertensive cases in Grenada. And if hypertension is one of the triggers, one of the things that can actually, contribute to dementia, then we need to pay very close attention. We would need more caregivers. We need more caregivers. We also have to get these caregivers to understand what is involved in caring for people. So it takes us nicely into what we want to talk about this evening. How do we care for dementia patients?
We have to recognize, and our seniors almost all have some morbidity. Apart from that, we really should just be going to the doctor anyway. Right? Your doctor should see you once a year, even once a year if you don't have anything chronic. Probably every 3 months if you have a chronic disease, 6 months if they're under control. But we should be seeing our doctors. And our health providers need to remember that that's one of the challenges. So we were talking about this last week, that although dementia was an issue, right? Dementia is just considered as another thing in old people, but not focused on as something that you really need to put out effort to care for and have, take care of people's special needs and all of that. So, yeah, we know we will say only old people will have dementia, but we are getting to old people. You and I and other people who we know in our peers. Do we do tests? If I took my mother to the doctor, will her doctor do a quick mental state examination or a cognitive ability test, okay, to see whether she's having that? So those are the things that have to be put forward and have to be included in the patterns of care of our seniors. So when you go to check your blood pressure at 65, the doctor should be asking. And information is gotten both from the parent, from the person, because some people say, doctor, I realize I'm forgetting stuff. My grandchildren come there and I couldn't remember their name, and so I only have 2 grandchildren. Do you understand? So one person might say that I keep forgetting where I put my house keys, right? I was driving down through River Road the other day, and I reached by the pad bridge. All of a sudden, I just couldn't remember where I was going, whether I was going to Grand Mall, I was going into town. Right? So those are things that people might recognize. I'm having challenges. I get up in the morning and I can't remember if I already did my devotion, or I'm trying to remember my daughter called me this morning, or if I send my grandchild's birthday cake. What month are we in again? I just can't remember. So sometimes individuals recognize that there is some memory deficit. But almost always, an older person has somebody who they live with, or who mostly, have even a neighbor or somebody who might recognize that it changes. And that changes, a simple change is not taking of the personal hygiene. 1, probably because you can't. 2, because you can't follow routines anymore. and 3 because you just forget. All right, or 4 because you are so, your motivation and your normal cognitive behavior, being reasonable, has become so bad that somebody can't even take you to the bathroom, right? So you may take Miss Jane for her regular check, but we should be hearing the doctor or the nurse or whoever said, how is she? How is her memory? Do you notice any change in her behavior? Does she take her meals? Does she complain that you're not feeding her? Those things. So our healthcare providers have to be aware. And families have to remember to look out for that as people get older, right? Somebody might become a little miserable. They almost disobedient, recalcitrant. Like if you help, you say, come as bed, I'm not ready to be there. I'm not ready to be there. But it's just that, or they start telling you what look like lies. It's not lies. They realize they're forgetting and they're trying to fill up those spaces.
Yes,
okay? Right? It's confabulation. Or they start telling you, oh, this child come through the door. Where does this girl in this pink dress come from? And you know you've been sitting in the room all day with her. There's no dress and no pink, no child, no pink dress. Or you see rats on the wall, right? You know that there are challenges, okay? And it's not. You might say, "Oh, but Granny, you're dreaming, right?" No. I'm alert. I can see that Sesame Street is still on, but there are rats on the wall. You got me? So we have to know. Or caregivers have to understand what to look for. Families have to know what to look for. And then we have to empower families with tools to be able to care for, right? It means that we're going to have an interesting social movement, right, that provides for. Currently, we do have a desk of the elderly, but it's a desk of the elderly. It doesn't talk about dementia. It's a desk of the elderly. We talk about dementia. But what are the general social needs? People who have dementia have different needs, more sophisticated, more very well tailored needs that they will have to be given in order to be able to survive.
Right. Doc, a quick question before we go into those needs and how we deal with them. Dementia as compared to forgetting, because you when you have dementia you forget, but forgetting normally, a young fellow like me, I'm supposed to do something and I forget. Is there a difference? Where do we draw the line between just genuinely forgetting something and forgetting because you have dementia, or you getting to that point of dementia?
What do you forget?
Me?
Say, give me an example.
I mean, couple of things.
If you forget to make a phone call to a client, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to someone calls you, you promise to call them back, and you maybe got caught up doing a couple of things and you forgot to return the call.
But then I said to you, hey, Godfrey, you're supposed to call back Mr. Johnson, did you? Oh my goodness, no. Right.
Is that the difference?
You can be reminded.
Okay.
In the case of people who have dementia, the memory is just obliterated, is gone.
They may tell you, I did call them back.
Yeah, but I called already. Or call who? Who is that? So there may be other levels of that whole cognitive challenge, being unable to recognize people. Who is that? Right? I remember my grandmother calling me by my daughter, asked me who am I? She know my daughter, what I'm talking about. Okay? So they might have, those lagoons a little bigger and a little more permanent. So if somebody reminds you, hey, you're supposed to call John. Oh God, what are we supposed to talk about again? Yes, I was supposed to call him. You will remember. They will talk, what are you talking about? Who is John? I never had to call, I never promised to call John. Call John about what? So those are the differences that you have.
Okay.
Because you have brain cells that just don't work anymore. It's not like yours that probably overloaded with information.
Okay, so that's a difference. Very well.
Recall can return, but in the case of the older people, they may not.
All right, good. So that being said, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we are going to look at some of the ways or some of the methods we need to use in caring for people with dementia. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Broadcast.
Valley Pharmacy offers both wholesale and retail pharmaceutical and over-the-counter products. We have the most competitive and affordable prices. We are the agents for Vic Plus multivitamin for healthy everyday lifestyle and Sonatrogene powder. Hills and Valley Pharmacy supplies the best quality, name brand clinical products such as Rescue Oil, Bio Oil, Neutrogena, Aveeno, and Clarisil. We offer the most convenient opening hours. Our telephone numbers are 435-6904 or 6903. Remember, at Hills and Valley Pharmacy, your health is our business. We care.
Now open, Hilton Valley Medicare Center, your one-stop for medical supplies, massage therapy, physiotherapy, and an in-house physician. At Hilton Valley, your health is our business.
Opio.com.
Sale at all the outlets, hotspot outlets. You're going to go to the Carnage, the Grenville, or the Sutter's hotspot, and you get sales and deals on all items. You can get these on potato, you can get these on saltfish, onion, garlic, mackerel, toilet paper, and we even have the currants and the raisin at $10 per pound, lowest price island-wide. So people just come down or go up or go across, but just make sure and go to hotspots.
The Esplanade Mall, something for everyone. Go on a shopping spree today and experience some magic.
You're already ill and have no time or energy to walk every which way to access your healthcare needs. So come to Spice Isle Imaging on the Carnage for a one-spot stop for all your health service needs. See our in-house doctor and get your meds from the pharmacy right on location. Digital X-ray, MRI, CT scans, mammography, ultrasound and laboratory services are also available. So for that moment when life makes demands on you, you can make demands on us. Visit us at Spice Isle Imaging, Carnage, St. George's.
Welcome back, folks. It's Dr. with Call. Dr. Sonia Nixon is with me, and we continue our conversation on dementia. Sorry, you know, I almost said Dimanche Grand. Dementia. You know that's what Calypso does to you, right? So, and we want to talk now, Doc, about caring for patients and some of the little pointers that we can use in ensuring that patients with dementia are cared for in the best possible way. So let's look at some of them in terms of communication. Firstly,
so we the not so dementia, the caregivers. No,
I like that.
You forget things, and we all heading there. We get irritable, and we're not able to communicate. Remember, this is somebody who doesn't remember, okay? Who doesn't remember, who have lost their capacity for routines, who just don't understand, okay? who has these empty spaces, especially with people with severe Alzheimer's form of dementia, just sit there. And there's nothing. Remember the cognitive ability, the ability to learn things, the ability to do routines, the ability to remember, the ability to communicate comes in, sharing thought, right? How you think. All of those things come. Controlling impulse, making decisions. That goes. It deteriorates. It goes away. Mm-hmm. All right? So you have to be patient in telling them how to do what, right? And instead of saying, why don't do this? So, what would you like to do? Tell me what you'd like. Mm-hmm. Be a little patient. We have to be patient in communicating and trying to understand and to think the way they think, which is kind of not. And guiding gently, okay? Without contradicting, ask. Are you sure? Would you like to do this? What would you like to drink? Why don't you drink the tea? No. Come on now, drink the tea. No. Here's are you thirsty? Would you like to have a little tea? Why don't you try a little? Mm-hmm. Be patient, right? Because you have to almost cajole. And that's why some people who live in nursing homes have an advantage, because often, especially in first world countries, you have people who are trained, who have special capacity, right? And that's one of the things we're going to have to start focusing on. Developing people's capacity to handle what is going to become a big problem in our small territories, okay? So once people understand how to do it, it becomes a little less difficult, not only for them, but more so for the person who already suffers from dementia.
The thing is, what I'm thinking here, someone who probably has a dementia patient at home, and that individual does not understand that it isn't a dementia patient. They may tend to get angry. They may tend to treat that person in a manner that is not the best, as you mentioned.
And sometimes physically abusive.
Right, that's another thing. And when that sort of treatment, what kind of effect can it have on the patient? Can it further worsen the situation for that patient?
Of course, it can worsen the situation. Because what you'd have is somebody who might just respond to impulsively and become more irritable and create more stress for them, and then they get, the behavior gets worse and worse simply because you're not able to give them to calm them. Because remember, they will also have severe anxiety and a lot of stressful expressions. So if you keep stressing them, and especially if you're physically abusive, they don't know how to do this. They don't know. Like if you tell a baby, drink your water, that means nothing to him. That just has to garble the conversation. Right. Because he doesn't have that level of cognitive development to understand what it means by drink your water. Okay?
So in other words, the people caring for dementia patients should be able to recognize the triggers for difficult behavior and understand the importance of being calm.
But I think first of all, they need to understand what is this dementia thing, right? And they also need their outlets, because dementia people, home caregivers, people at home, your children, your husband, your wife, you understand? Your grandchildren need to understand what this is. Why is it that your behavior or whatever you're doing is the way it is, right? They need to understand that. As a result, they would need a break, because try to imagine caring for a dementia patient every day, 24/7. Especially somebody who needs full-time care. Right? So a caregiver has to understand that I too need to have my own respite time. And in developed countries, there are facilities where you can take somebody in for a week or two so that a caregiver can go on a cruise, or they can go visit their grandchildren, or just be home and do nothing, Those are the things that our society is going to have to develop itself towards. Because if we don't have that, you're going to have people going to burn out, because oftentimes what happens with the caregivers is they themselves become ill, right? They themselves become ill because they don't have any outlets. So they develop hypertension and diabetes and stress and cancers and all other diseases that are related to living a stressful life, simply because they don't have any support.
And of course,
if you have an older couple, they might not be the ages might be congruent. Okay, they might be around the same age, right? The husband might be the one that develops dementia first, or one of them might develop the dementia first, but the other one is at equal risk, or almost the same risk, and having to remain sane. What happens when the other one starts deteriorating? You know.
And you do have you have different forms. As you mentioned earlier, that a patient can be totally out, and
Yes,
and then you have
dementia who need 100% care.
right.
They probably can walk around, you can get them to work, but even movement, especially people who have Parkinson-related dementia, right? They have stiffness in just their body has difficulty moving. And if they have dementia-related to Parkinson, it becomes doubly difficult because you're going to need to have round-the-clock nursing or support. You have to help them to get to the bed, you have to help them sit out because their body's already stiff from the Parkinson's. So it depends on what it is, okay? People who have frontal lobe, remember we were talking about frontal lobe, impulsiveness,
Yes.
they might have memory loss, but what they have is inappropriate behaviors, especially sexually inappropriate behaviors, right? Tends to happen, and usually these are people who have had traumatic experiences, or they've had a brain tumor in the front of their head or something, they've had a big stroke in the front, right? They have those inappropriate behaviors, they're very impulsive. Sometimes they can be nice, right? But there's impulsivity and there's really poor behavior that makes it very, very, very difficult for families, right? Sleeplessness could be one of the things. Change in your sleep rhythm. Okay, so you see them sit and watch TV all day and they sleep. You count every minute of sleep they get because that sleep adds up. When nighttime, because they have the sound downing, they change around. Guess what? They're not sleeping in the night. You want them to sleep. Or the irritability increases in the night because that's when their body comes up, because their whole body rhythm is changing. You have challenges. There comes a point where some people may even require medication support in order to be able to, for them to rest, one, and for families and everybody to have a relatively normal life, especially if they're at home.
Right.
And even in nursing home. Sometimes you over-medicate. We know there are medications you really shouldn't give them. There are medications at work that can keep them as functional and as alert as possible. You don't want to have somebody who's constantly zombie because they're taking something to to control their behaviors, because that comes in as a challenge. But you don't want to have them zombied around. You want them to be able to play one game of Ludo or some Search the Park or something still, something, or play jacks or pretend they're playing jacks with the grandchildren or something. You really want to have some interaction. So you're not going to zombie them day and night so you can wash your clothes and sit down and talk on the phone and go on Facebook and all of that.
Right. And of course, there are those who they do have the capacity to do a little thing for themselves. But
Right.
in helping them to stay organized, is it important also to allow them to do things so that, you don't necessarily have to do everything?
And so, for example, right, to do the things that I can. So what we want to do is to maintain as much independence for as long as possible. Okay? So if they're accustomed to make their cup of tea, you can pour the hot water and put the milk and the sugar there and the tea bag, and you pour the hot water for them and they stir their tea, right? They probably can still get up and slow scramble an egg, you do that, right? You help them to put it on the table. They probably want to take their plate and put it in the sink, or they probably want to wash their teacup and their plate. That's okay, right? They probably want to go and they can sit in the shower and bathe themselves. You can get them a big bath, once a week or twice so you can support. But they can still wash themselves. You make sure they don't rot. Okay? And keep their independence and keep their sense of self, because some people might say, I can do this. Why are you treating me like a child? They probably can't verbalize it. They can't tell you, but they will say in themselves, I want to do this, and what would they show instead? some irritability because they cannot communicate. Remember you talked about the communication. They're unable to express what they're feeling and all the rest. So you want them to be able to maintain those things, those functions as far as possible. The other thing is that people who go to, they have adult daycare, right?
Yes.
So my parents might live with me, and I know they have dementia, but you take them to a daycare facility in the day, right? Where they have trained people who help them. They get to meet other people. They play bingo, they interact, they have their peers, they talk about your custom talk about, and there's a lot of function that's maintained, right? That's a big help. That's a very big help, because there they can go and they can still do things, and you have people who are trained as recreational therapists and all of that, so they know what level of activity to prepare for them, how to encourage them interacting with their peers and doing things, recognizing things that they're interested in. So, for example, they found that in the UK, they had a thing that they did where they took children. They had a daycare almost in the same place as the seniors' home. And the old people had buddies, and the young children had a buddy. So you pair an older person, a young child, and everybody's mental status improved.
So social connections is very important.
It's very important. And the activities they gave, so the children they'll help the children to do their cut-up paper, craft work, and all the rest. And the children had old people teaching them stuff and playing games that they would like to play. I'm sorry about my computer. So you have that those kind of stuff, but you have to figure it out as you go along. What can work? Because it might work for some, it may not work for others.
Right.
Okay. So those are some of the things. One of the things that we have to look out for is that loss of capacity to do like numbers and the decisions, where you're paying your bills and paying your checks and stuff, right? And taking legal and financial decisions. And we've seen a lot of people fleeced out of their property because just as their mind starts going, some darling relative or friend or distantly known person comes and gets them to sign over all of their property to them.
Right.
It may mean that is fraudulent. It may be quite fraudulent because the person may not have the capacity.
Yes.
So in making people make decisions, the family needs to recognize very early when there's a decision, when there's that dementia, in order that people may not be fleeced. And we know the stories of the people in the US, for example, in North America, who've been fleeced out of millions of dollars, millions and millions and millions, if you add it cumulatively. Because we have all these scammers on the phone who says, "Oh, Miss Jane, hi, this is Don. I'm calling from the IRS. Do you know that we have a return check for you for $500,000? Really? I do. Yeah, you just need to deposit. Give me your account number and blah blah blah. We put it in there. Whoops, you get into your account number. You give them your PIN and they take your $500,000 and they go on their way. Your nest egg. People don't even recognize that they're being fleeced because they're trusting. And it may be just on the cusp of that. So we have to consider how they make decisions for their medical care, how they make decisions for their legal and financial life. Those are things we have to worry about,
Right. As it relates to in everything, nutrition is very important. Very, very important. Someone who is, going through that condition, dementia, they need to eat. How important? We need to eat now. We need to eat now. Right. Yeah. We need to eat now.
And we already know that we're probably going to live a little longer than our grandparents and stuff, right? Okay, so my grandfather lived to 92, so I'm going to be here to 110, so you guys in trouble. But the truth is, I need to prepare myself to be, and my grandfather was quite lucid at 96 or whenever he died, right? But I need to prepare myself that if I'm going to be at that age, if I'm going to be 80, that I must not be as burdensome as to my children as I can be. So therefore, I must make sure that my diabetes is controlled and my hypertension is controlled, and that I eat a lot of green leafy vegetables and pretty color fruits and vegetables, and I exercise, do like a Tai Chi, do a little walking, walk my dog, period my dog. And incidentally, one of the things that has worked for our older people is having a pet. So they do animal therapy, and they've proven that like even dogs, taking dogs. Well, I know everybody in Grenada afraid dog, but taking dogs to the nursing home, they found that it was good for them, right? Some people had horses, whatever it is, cats, right? So some of the older people had a cat come in their lap and they purred, and some people got a dolly, whatever it is. But we know that animal therapy is one of the things that works, okay? But like I said, in relation to the nutrition, I don't think it has to be any different from what it should be now.
Okay.
And if we would eat appropriately, eat what we need to be eating, maybe our dementia would probably be a little less.
Right. I'm thinking in terms of with the forgetfulness or the memory going. Someone might tell you, well, look, I just ate. I'm not hungry because I just ate a nice bit of oil dung, or I just had some pea soup. Truth and fact is they never ate.
Oh, they're gonna tell you they don't know when last they eat.
Oh, that's what they're gonna tell you.
That's what they say. They forget to eat. They forget positive activity. So one of the other things I want us to look at is planning ahead. Often as people developing dementia, you might need to put them in a different space. You might need to take them to their daughter's house. But if I've lived in this house for 50 years and you want to take me out of here, I know every nook and cranny, everywhere my liquor tour is going to get bounced, which side to turn the pipe, where the pipe is, where the bathroom is, how many steps I go back. Because remember, you have routines, and the things that you do early in life, you may not forget. The things the habits that you've created, you may not forget them. When you're going to take me to my other child's house, right, where it's different, they might have a modern style house and all the space, and I get in there and I'm lost because I see dining room one place, kitchen one place, living room one place, and a family room behind me, and it's just one room, okay? I can become very confused. So one of the things we kind of need to do at that time is start like taking them for like trips.
Yeah,
take them 1 day, spend 2 hours. So eventually it start making a mark on them, because when you move people suddenly, it becomes very difficult for them to adjust. When you change their routine very suddenly, they have a lot of difficulty adjusting, and some people just never settle down. And if you're taking them into a nursing home situation, it may just be upsetting to other people who are there. So, and it's really creating a lot of anxiety and more stress, and it'll create more irritability and aggressiveness and all the rest in the person with them. So in changing the person's space, you may actually want to do it gently. Do trips. Talk about it a little as far as I can remember. Keep talking about it, taking them out,
Right, and we did speak about the personal hygiene, which is very important.
Yes.
But another very important area, you briefly touched on it a while ago. People should remember to care for themselves. That's people who are, caring for dementia patients. Yeah. Right,
carers, and like I said, the carers are the ones who may suffer the most at the end of the day, because I've seen women here, for example, they invest themselves so much in caring, especially for women taking care of their male spouses, right? And to the point where it's really taken out and they continue. And remember, these are not necessarily young women, right? So and some of them die before their spouse because they just stress themselves or they get a stroke and die before the person with dementia goes away. And that's usually in the case where you have a partner or a beneficiary, somebody who cares for, a ward who is severely ill. So there's this constant, total investment. I had to ask a young lady, well, not so young, she's probably in her early 60s and her mother's in her 90s. And I said to her, you need to get help. You cannot do 24/7 care, especially for a person who doesn't sleep at night. You have to get help. Well, I'm happy to say that she actually heeded and got some help. And then you're able to help the mother to get some sleep in the night, so it's become a lot easier. But we still have to remember that the other things we have to care for, right? Because people at that age would almost invariably have some other disease, right? Some other illness that you have to take into consideration. So it may not just be the diet, maybe because they have renal failure and you have to think about that, and medications to take and all other stuff. So there are a lot of other routines that you have to keep in place. And if you're older, you have to help into the bathroom. You probably need someone to help you to the bathroom. So carers have to understand what the limitations are. Often it's very difficult for people to give up that, you know. Especially, people been married for 50 years. I don't want nobody to come and take care of my husband. I want to take care of my wife. I can do this. No. I mean, that's my vow, till death do us part, for richer, for poor. And that's good. But you also have to preserve yourself so there can be more of you to give to the person whom you're caring for. And sometimes families need to understand that we may have one sibling or one child who takes care of the person with dementia, but they need help. So those of us who know that the one sister is taking care of the sister who have challenges, or the mother, right, need to understand that they too need to, even to take them for a weekend or to go to the house a weekend and spend the weekend, so the constant caregiver gets a break to go somewhere. As we really put in the hard before the card.
Let me ask a question before we go to the break. Someone caring for a dementia patient, and we're talking about dementia patient that is probably it's bad. The dementia is bad, so they lost it. Things are tough. They don't remember to. They don't want to bathe. They don't. Everything. They become almost defiant, so to speak.
100%. They need 100% care.
Right. So the person caring, the caregiver. Do you think that kind of environment can actually aid in the caregiver developing the condition?
The environment of stress? Is that what you mean?
Yes, having to care for someone who doesn't remember anything. It's emotionally challenging for someone to look at their relative being so very ill and can't change anything. So you say, why doesn't she listen to me? Why doesn't she swallow the food when I give her? Why doesn't she do this? Why doesn't she do that? Right? And you're constantly stressed. You can develop hypertension and diabetes. You can get heart attacks and strokes. You can develop cancer. You can become sick. You can develop depression. And that's a bad thing.
So the caregiver is in a situation of equal morbidity, that comorbidity. And that is why we have to consider, how are we going to prepare our caregivers to be able to deal with the situation, to understand, to see when dementia is coming on. In a family, we kind of need to talk about it and say, I wonder, I've seen my father the other day. I go to the house and Daddy asked me the same question 3 times. My Daddy asked me, no, I didn't ask you yet. But then he just asked me that. He said, or do you just, okay, Daddy. And it says, well, I noticed Daddy asked me the same question. Let's see what is happening here.
Right.
But we have to inform our population as to how to look for that. What to expect. And first of all, to expect that dementia may pop up, especially if you've had family, and what to expect to happen, and what to do when the expected starts showing its face. But when it's early in the day, so you can preserve as much as possible, you can give support. You can ensure that, like I said, the things, a lot of it are cause. You know what the causes are. If there's infection, that it's treated, and all the rest of it. If there is the diabetes, we control it. And I know you were asking about hypertension.
Yes.
Hypertension, persistent hypertension is the higher the pressure, the lower the cognitive skills. In other words, the more likely the person to develop dementia. Because that persistent hypertension not only just causes like infarcts in the brain, what it does is really damage the nerve cells on their own and the dendrites and stuff from that constant elevated pressure. So all of those things we have to consider.
All right. Doc, let's take a commercial break. When we come back, a couple more questions, and then we'll open our telephone line so that people can make their contribution and ask their questions on the program. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Hills and Valleys Valley Pharmacy offers both wholesale and retail pharmaceutical and over-the-counter products. We have the most competitive and affordable prices. We are the agents for Vit Plus multivitamin for healthy everyday lifestyle and Sonatogen powder. Hills and Valley Pharmacy supplies the best quality, name brand clinical products such as Rescue Oil, Bio Oil, Neutrogena, Aveeno, and Clarisil. We offer the most convenient opening hours. Our telephone numbers are 435-6904 or 6903. Remember, at Hills and Valley Pharmacy, your health is our business. We care.
Now open, Hills Valley Medicare Center, your one-stop for medical supplies, massage therapy, physiotherapy, and an in-house physician. At Hills Valley, your health is our business.
How going on, boy?
Hey, good old things.
Hey, Daisy.
Yeah.
Boy, line, boy. Your house looking a real good day.
Boy, it's thanks to the hard-working and professional staff at the Housing Authority of Grenada. They handled me real nice. They did my plan, they did the construction, and I didn't even have to worry about a thing. They were there with me every step of the way, supervising the job, asking me about my concerns, giving me feedback as the house took shape. They were there from start to finish, and even put the keys in the palm of my hand. I give them an A++ for customer service.
Oh, it's people from housing bad, boy.
Boy, not bad. Excellent. If you're thinking about constructing your home, why not consult the Housing Authority of Grenada? You could visit them right down in the Sandino complex or give them a call 440-1015 or 440-1016 or check out their website hag473.com. They go handle you. They go jog your blocks, they go draw your plan, they go tote your materials. Hey man, where you going? The Housing Authority of Grenada is your choice for affordable housing and a stress-free construction experience.
You're already ill and have no time or energy to walk every which way to access your healthcare needs. So come to Spice Isle Imaging on the Carenage for a one-spot stop for all your health service needs. See our in-house doctor and get your meds from the pharmacy right on location. Digital X-ray, MRI, CT scans, mammography, ultrasound and laboratory services are also available. So for that moment when life makes demands on you, you can make demands on us. Visit us at Spice Isle Imaging, Carenage, St. George's.
At Communal, we are adapting to meet the changing needs of our shareholders and members. Times are changing, and with the changing times comes a whole new way to do business. Our parents may have done their banking a different way. Communal's state-of-the-art online banking and international debit card allows members to do business with great ease. It's like literally having a branch in your very own hands. Need a loan? Apply online from the comfort of your own home anywhere in the world, and your request will be dealt with remotely. Want to transfer between your accounts or another shareholder? No wait time for transactions to update. Voila! Who needs receipts when you can receive them via e-statements on your mobile device and save the environment? Not a Communal member? You can join our family today by applying online. At Communal, we see you working hard to ensure that you save, invest, and grow. Communal. Join us today. This will be the best financial decision you have ever made.
It's new, innovative and classy, and a cut above the rest. Your one-stop shop for bathtubs, kitchenette, customized doors and windows, and even a new paint job. We also sell quartz and solid surface countertops. At M&N Hardware, we offer best prices, excellent service, efficiency, and reliability. Visit us at Dusty Highway, Grandin, St. George, or call telephone number 440-6757. M&N Hardware, from foundation to roof. Let's build together.
Okay, welcome back, folks. It's Doctor and Call. All right. So, Doc, we have two questions on our social media platform, and our listener is asking, Is it true that a person with a routine lifestyle is more likely to suffer from dementia than someone who just goes according to the flow? And the second question is there a cure for dementia?
So I can answer the second question first because it's simpler.
Yes.
You don't know of a cure for dementia. It comes on and it's progressive. What we might be able to do, depends on what's the cause, we might be able to detain it. So like if it's because somebody's pressure is out of control, you probably can stop it wherever it reaches, you know? But it tends to be progressive. And like we say, as we get older, there is greater potential. But if we talk about, the diet and, you need nutrition, you need your vitamin, folate, vitamins, and you need your vitamin B12. And remember, as we get older, we have less capacity to absorb all the nutrients that we consume. Then, of course, we're not necessarily eating like we did 50 years ago, okay? So we buy fast foods as opposed to buying, eating fresh vegetables that grow in your backyard. That's your sheep manure in. So there are a lot of changes in our lifestyle that might affect the fact that we have a disease that we probably can't cure. The first question, I don't know that I can really answer that, though, whether, go with the flow. Go with the flow might mean that you really subject yourself to a whole lot of stress and not have as much hypertension. But I don't know of any scientific research to that. I probably can read it up and find it out, but I don't know of any research that has said that, people who try to go routine. What I know is about people who have a routine tend to be able to manage their symptoms a little better if they get accustomed to live in a certain way. They'll be able to contain themselves a little better than a person who doesn't really have any routines in their life.
All right, wonderful. Listener, I hope that helped you. Our telephone number 435-2041. Our telephone line is open. You have any questions or you want to comment or contribute to the program, we'll be happy to entertain you. The number again, 435-2041. Now, Doc, in the meantime, you caring for someone with dementia, and they're telling you, look, there is someone standing in the corner of the house, or you see something funny happening there. Should you, as the caregiver, try to prove that patient wrong? To convince them, look, no, you're sick, there is no one there, it's because you're not well. Should we do that?
No, it shouldn't. I think it's you're waiting to reassure them that it's okay. He's going to go away soon. He's not going to do anything. Make them feel safe. But I don't think you need to say, no, we're talking about, you see anybody else? You're stupid. We tend to be like that. That's part of
yes.
Behavior. No, say, who did you see? You couldn't say, did you see anyone? I'm not sure you saw anyone because I'm not seeing anyone there currently. But if maybe you did, and the person probably will go away soon. You don't need to worry. So be very reassuring. That's one of the things we need to do. Okay. We need to be reassuring in relation to when people have, because they really see it in their mind. They really see it, and sometimes there are times when you actually have to make sure that you rule at all, because one of the things in diagnosing people with dementia is making sure they don't have a brain tumor, because you probably can just operate a brain tumor and the dementia symptoms go away. Okay. So doing a CAT scan might tell you if it's Alzheimer's, because you probably see the plaques, or as opposed to it's a brain tumor, or as opposed to if they've had an infarct in the frontal lobe. But do you understand?
Yes.
So doing a CAT scan is one of the means of diagnosis, right? If you see early changes, that's one of the tests that you can do, apart from the different blood tests, doing the blood count, looking for syphilis, which is one of the things that can cause dementia. Not that we have a lot of syphilis now, but a lot of the people who are older may have been infected with syphilis years ago, before penicillin came and it got latent, and now it's manifesting itself as brain disease. So there are tests you can do to rule out some of the possibilities, and there's some stuff like giving vitamins and treating infections and stuff that can eliminate, in some way ameliorate the symptoms of the dementia that the person has.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's go to a telephone line. We have a caller. Dr. and Cole, good evening.
Good evening, Doctor. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Well, I'm not too well, but I'm holding on. Because I have, what I call it to tell you, I have this cough, and I have it a very long time since around the middle of the beginning to the middle of the year. And all doctor I go to, they send me for an X-ray, but the cough is coming from my throat, go down to my chest. I don't know, the X-ray results said that it seems as bronchitis, but I have it so long that sometimes it goes and come, and according to the doctor I go to, they will give me treatment for it, and it's hold up and it's coming back.
All right.
So I don't.
Okay.
So I don't know what caused it, but I know a very long time when I was younger, I had this vein in my neck used to rise, and I thought it was a goiter. So I went to a long ago doctor, when I was young, and they told me it's not a goiter, and they sent me to a throat doctor, and the doctor told me that it's a strained vein I have, and don't let no doctors interfere with it because I'm going to die. It's a vein. And after that, they give me some medication, and they give me something to rub it. And that after that, I didn't feel anything. But as I'm going down in age, that thing keep coming back. And sometimes I have in pain, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
I'm a diabetic.
You're diabetic?
With arthritis and all these things like that. And I'm feeling worried about it because all doctors I go to, they're telling me what is bronchitis and they're giving me treatment.
Don't go. I want to ask you a couple questions. Don't let her go, Godfrey. So Miss, let me ask you a few questions. And as a girl, I'm the only person allowed to ask you that. How old are you?
78.
78?
Yeah.
Have you ever had allergies or asthma or anything like that as a child?
Asthma, no. I only had a fever, and I went to a bush doctor, and he told my mother I catch a cold by my feet, and I was supposed to. He gave me some medication for it because I was getting so small. And my mom was frightened. But he told me, don't get frightened. It's a cold I catch by below my feet. And it turned to, I forget the name of the fever. But he gave me treatment for it. And he told me I have to wear home socks to keep my sole of my foot warm. But you know, when you're young, growing up, you go wear the socks for a little while and you're playing young girl. Now you don't want to wear home shoes and socks. But right now, every time I put it in my feet, I'm feeling a warmness. But
all right, so let me ask you, are you taking any medications for blood pressure?
Because I don't have high blood pressure. I suffer it once, and then I get medication, and it's all gone. But
so, the truth is, you probably just have some allergies, and I don't like to diagnose on the phone, okay, on the TV. But and really, I normally don't do this time. But you probably just have allergies, and allergies will go and come and have those dry cough symptoms and stuff. So you will get medication and it will come back. Okay, warm salt water gargles might help to remove whatever is in the back. So put a little bit of salt and a little bit of tepid water when the coughing starts, because it just may be secretions at the back of your throat. If your X-ray says nothing, your doctor has looked and seen nothing, it's probably just having it's probably just something that you're allergic to. Okay.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you very much indeed.
Have a good night, and thank you.
Right. Doc, I have another question online here. It says, I'm a caregiver. One of the things the doctor told us when treating the patient is to leave her to do whatever she wants. If she doesn't want to take a bath, eat, or take a nap, leave her until she wants to?
Well, leave her is not, I don't think it's that can be very generalized, because I think you also have to consider the person's safety. Huh?
Yes.
And sometimes you can cajole. You don't have to fight them, but you can encourage. Try and reason. And I understand, because sometimes we can do it wrong. And there are wide ways to do it. Yeah, she probably don't need to bathe every day, but you could probably give her a rag and say, look, why don't you just wipe your face? You have a little dirt here, and they might do it. So find a way to get around to do it. Don't fight the individual, which is what it is, because they will get more and more irritable and more recalcitrant and more difficult for you to deal with. You have to make sure that they get proper nutrition, and the truth is, you have to make sure they get enough fluids. It's hot. If the person becomes dehydrated, they will become more irritable. The whole mental state is going to be, how you feel when you're dehydrated, when you're not. You can't think, you won't talk to anybody, don't tell me anything, I'm irritable, don't talk. So you really want to make sure that the state of hydration is good. And it's hard in people who have dementia to drink. But they might want to drink coconut water. Or you probably can take the same coconut water and make icicles. Like snow ice and sock and those kind of things. And you have to find creative ways. Give them chips of ice, because you have to rehydrate them. Food, ask them what they'd like today, and let's do this. Just sit down together with them and eat. Because one of the things is like feeding children. Sometimes we give children a plate of food. It's a little different if you sit with them and eat. Both of you eating together. You helping them, but both of you have a meal at the same time. Because those might have been familiar actions. So there are a lot of strategies that we can put into place to avoid the kind of defiance that we might feel. All
right, Doc. Someone caring for a dementia patient, and you probably know of other individuals who do the same thing, and you probably find that that other person is getting a little more result than you are getting. And you might tend to think that you're doing something wrong, and should that be encouraged? In other words, situations could be different.
Yeah, and people are different. What you might want to do is to share notes with the other caregiver, right? Because some caregivers are not as patient as others. Some have strategies. Some might implement strategies, or just have different personalities. And maybe caregivers can share notes. And remember, if you on one shift and another shift, you work on a different time, so the person's function may change from one shift to the other. You know that their behaviors. So share notes. Don't be afraid. I don't think, don't feel like you're a failure, because everybody's trying to make this thing work. It may not work. It may be how the one caregiver responds to the person's behavior, right? As opposed to how the other one might want to take it a little more serious than it really should be. Once a person is safe and fed and bathed and entertained as far as you can, I don't know that there's much more that you really can do.
Okay, so but you should not compare. You should not compare yourself.
Don't compare in a competitive way. Compare in a collaborative way. And notice what you do. What do you do? How do you do this? I think collaboration is what's going to make it work. Because you might find that you get her to go to the bathroom every day at 3, whereas the other person who gets her to stay calm and all the rest of it can't get her to bathe. And you might have a way of saying, I'm going to bathe. You might say, let's go and bathe your dolly, your baby dolly. She might have a doll that you take her to the bathroom with to bathe, right? Right? Or I might say, come and sit. Let's sit here and talk. And you sit on the bathtub, and you put them to sit on the stool, and you open the shower, and you make them rub themselves, and you're talking, and they don't even realize they're getting a bath. So there are ways. I mean, you have to get creative.
Should the caregiver set goals in terms of one, themselves, and also the patient?
And you want to set goals as far as the patient is able to fulfill. Remember, a person with dementia has a lot of deficiencies, okay? They have a lot of incapacities, okay? So, you want to basically keep them safe. You want to keep them clean. You want to keep them fed. You want them to get rest. You don't want to get irritable. You want to identify if they're getting sick. Because remember, people with dementia get sick. Okay, they can get cough and cold and fever and pneumonias and COVID and all those crazy things. Okay, let's get real. So you want to identify that. You want to make sure they take their medications. All right. What's the first half of your question?
It's the setting of goals. For themselves. In other words, in terms of what they have to do as an individual, because they have to care for themselves as well. So in terms of what you want to do, and in terms of what you want to achieve with the patient.
Yeah, but guess what? You have to be realistic, because probably there's only so much. So you may have had experience in taking care of people, okay? But guess what? Your last patient probably just talked a lot by himself. But you can take him to the bathroom. You can make him poop when you want him to sit on the toilet. You understand? You can give him a haircut. You can shave him, right? But he keeps talking. This patient might be quiet, but you can't move her. You can't get her to go to the bathroom. She does it on herself. You can't even get to clean her, right? So it's different strokes, and you have to know what you are able to achieve. How far can you move this? And sometimes you have to keep moving the goalpost just really, really, really slowly, right? Because remember, people's capacity to be reasonable when dementia can be severely impaired. So you can set goals for you to get them to any point, because if they already have that level of brain insufficiency, you probably can't revert it. You can see how you can make some amends, but you may not be able to get them. You're not going to get them to function like people who don't have dementia. Ever.
Okay, we spoke about one of the more common forms is Alzheimer's.
It is the most common form.
Right. But is there any difference with Alzheimer's and, let's say, other dementia conditions? Anything that sort of makes it stand out?
Yeah, Alzheimer's kind of is in your face. It's just always there. And it's very progressive. The Lewy body one is the other one that stands out very differently, right? And the Lewy body ones is the one where the person hallucinates. So people with Alzheimer's may not hallucinate, okay? But the Lewy body ones, people hallucinate, and they see things and they get irritable and they can fly off the handle and do all of those things, and then sometimes they just quiet. Alzheimer's tend to be a little more progressive and goes on and on and on to the point where the person maybe just be there in a vegetative state.
Finally, Doc, because we're getting to close to wrap up time. In terms of procedures, our health system, we made mention of having an aging population, the possibility of people, getting dementia as they grow older. The risk is higher. You've been in the health sector for quite a while. What's your feeling on that whole issue? Are we prepared? To deal with something like this?
No, I don't think we're quite ready, and it's not going to come like an avalanche, like a pandemic, but it's going to come. And this is a good time to take it. And like I told you, I know that the World Health Organization is taking it on as a big project, because we have an aging population wherever we go. Whether we're in the first, second, or third world, all right? We have I was looking at a young lady today, young, because she's a little younger than me. And she says to me, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe how old I am." And I said, "Look at you, don't look like that." I said, "I still think of myself as a child, us running up and down the road, right?" And she says, "Yeah, I feel like I think like a 10-year-old. So, maybe we're not doing it as fast as the people before us, because the nutritional states are a little different, okay? But it's going to happen. And the World Health Organization has recognized that dementia is a challenge, right? We don't have numbers in our environments, but there are numbers in other countries. And we kind of follow. We kind of eat similar to how badly when we eat to the people in first world, because we think we must buy pizza instead of carrying some banana and a bowl of split pea soup to work. You understand? So we have changes that are occurring in our lifestyle that makes us like first world. So we may start showing up as many diseases, and we already are, as happens in the first world. Therefore, it is important that policy, be implemented to ensure that dementia is looked at as a future disease and a future challenge to our social security coffers, because we're going to have to care for people longer than we're doing currently. Okay, so those are the things. It's going to have to be more on a policy level and ensuring that we have more nursing homes, because people, look, we're taking back up the age of, the Jamaicans took their retirement age back up to 65 from 60, all right? It means that people will be working longer. Therefore, if I'm working at 65 and my mother's 90, I don't have time to take care of her because I have to go to work. You got me? So there are those are the things that have to be taken into consideration. What are the services that are required as a country for us to be able to provide for our aging population and a population that may have a lot of dementia? If you're going to live to 100, over 100, we know that over 50% of us will in fact have dementia. In some level, it may not all be just sit down, dotish and useless, but we will have some dementia, and we will require certain facilities. Like I said, we're going to require recreation, we're going to require safety, safety. We're going to require to tell people you can't build your bathrooms with bathtubs anymore. You need to walk in, Make sure when you're building your house, you have a ramp. It's probably better for us to build bungalows. Make sure you have space in the yard not bumpy, so you can still walk around. Make sure you put rails in the bathroom and all those things that come with aging and dementia. Make sure your house is safe, so your grandmother can't get up and walk out of the house and go up the road if you're in the kitchen and you turn your eyes. Right? So those are the things we're going to have to look and see. What is it? How are we going to set up ourselves? The social structure, the funding, the caring for the people. Making sure they have proper foods, making sure they have caregivers, right, that are paid to take care of them. Because if we all still working at 55, 60, and 65, we're going to have caregivers to take care of our parents. Or are we going to have public facilities? Are we going to have daycare facilities? Is that what's most convenient? So I can drop my mother off in the morning when I'm going to work, and I take her back in the evening. Or my children can do that and pick up your grandma in the evening. She comes home. You got me? She comes home, she's bathed, she's probably fed, and she wants to still watch TV. You give her meds and she goes to bed. There are many permutations to what services we can develop, but the bottom line is that we are going to have to focus on developing policy and implementing plans to make sure that our population with dementia is appropriately cared for. And it's going to have to be multifaceted. It's going to be Ministry of Health, it's going to be social development, it's going to be finance, it's going to be labor, it's going to be a whole lot. Everybody's going to have to come in, planning, you name it, private sector. Everybody's going to have to consider this, because this is going to affect all of us eventually.
Doc, that's all the time we have for this evening. And again, I am so thankful, I'm so grateful, for having you, always accepting our request or invitation to be on the program and to share information with people as it relates to their health and how to care themselves. We really do appreciate this. So thank you very much again. And
on the note that we started, that it's still, even though the curfew is going to be raised, it is important that we maintain those hygiene practices. Make it a part of your life. Please, if you want to get up to dementia age, please, let's not set up ourselves. Our young population should not go there. Remember, also young people, you have a responsibility for protecting your grandparents and the people who are home, who don't know. While you need to stimulate them and say, hi, grandma, and make sure they don't forget you, you have to, keep a social distance and don't take anything from the street. So you get home, you wear your mask on the street, you get home, you wash your hands, you take your clothes off, you have a shower, right? Dispose of the mask or put it to wash, and you make sure you don't take any of those viruses into the older population who already have other diseases, plus can't really protect themselves. Some of them can't even cough properly.
Yes,
So
indeed.
let's just make sure that we protect our older population, because we still have a thing or two to learn from them.
Indeed we do. Doc, thank you once again. Thank you so very much. Special thanks to our listeners out there, and of course to the guys in TV production, Mr. Slocum and the others. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. Yes, indeed.
Hurricane. It's hurricane season.
Yes, we have to be careful. Keep around the house clean. Don't get rid of all bottles, any cans that can collect water. Please, remember, do what you're supposed to do, because you'll be protecting yourselves and your family. Thank you once again, and do have a good night. All the best.
Home safe.
Yes, I will. All the best indeed.
Bye.
Drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer,